Alrighty. I think I got Facebook and YouTube running. So, what's up guys? This is Zach with CNA Games, or locally at Cardinal Gaming and Repair. Behind me, I have a problem, and today I figured we would go ahead and try to figure out a solution to that problem. And the solution that I've come up with is doing a marathon series where I'm going to go through and this large section of handheld systems behind me all need to be looked at in some capacity. Some just need to be retested, some may not even be fixable. My goal is to have all of them processed by the end of the year, and I'm going to do a combination of live streams and then take the live stream footage, edit it, turn it into edited videos, maybe pull some shorts out and stuff like that to give me some additional motivation to work through this stuff. My goal is to do this probably twice a week at least, maybe more if other repairs or other things that I have to do allow it. Next week is actually going to be probably a little bit of a problem with that because we have PopCon in Louisville at the end of, or the later part of next week. So it might just be this one and one more, and then after PopCon I'll try to get into a more strict schedule to go through it. As an idea of how many systems exist over here, I'm going to go through and I have pre-counted each system broken down by individual consoles. So now there are two things with this marathon. The first is we are not going to be doing Sega handheld or Sony handheld or other non-Nintendo handhelds. I don't want to deal with the smell of fish oil fixing Game Gears, and Vitas and PSPs are something that might come up in a future marathon, maybe once I finish this one. So yeah, we're not going to be fixing any non-Nintendo handhelds in this series. And then also, I have different boxes that are. Oh, hey, actually, this is good to add here. I have different boxes that have various levels of parts by system. Like this is a 3DS XL bin that has partially complete systems, just motherboards, parts in it otherwise. Those systems across every generation, I'm not counting in this section over here. Maybe once we get through all of the, these all should be complete systems. Once we get through all of these, maybe with what we have left over, we can try to put together some systems with the parts that we have left over. So with that being said, I'm going to start from this top shelf. We have 4 OLED Switch right here. We have 20 regular Switch, which I have my parts out for Switch today, so I'm probably going to work on Switch today. With that being said, through every live stream, I'm going to give you guys the chance to pick which system I work on in the next live stream or next video or whatever, and I'll prioritize that so we can break up the monotony, and I'm not just fixing switches until I have no more, etc., etc. So yeah, 4 OLED Switch, 20 regular Switch, 23 regular 3DS, 10 new 3DS XL, 6 new 2DS XL, 16 regular 3DS XL, 21 Game Boy Advance SP, 13 DSi XLs, 20 DSi's, 67 DS Lites, that's not even the biggest number, 12 Game Boy Advance, 6 Nintendo DS, 21 Game Boy Color, 17 regular Game Boys, 5 Game Boy Pockets, 17 2DS systems, and oh well, Actually, DS Lite is the biggest number at 67 because we have 57 Switch lights. So that is the spread of systems that we're going to be working through until this series is finished, which hopefully happens when we've effectively worked through all of this stuff. I'm not expecting to fix everything. There will be an amount of systems that will not be time or cost effective to fix based on, you know, having multiple issues and things like that. So our goal in this situation is to fix what makes sense to fix, and then part out or dispose of otherwise things that that can't reasonably be fixed. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're starting out with the Nintendo Switch. I have my Switch parts ready, all broken down by parts that we need to work through switches, along with any kind of other standard replacement parts like components, motherboard components, things like that. So we got our first one, and I'm going to go ahead and use this as an opportunity to switch over. We got our first system, sold for parts, rails do not read. I can already see what looks like liquid damage in here. First thing we're going to do is see if it charges. It does charge. That's good. It's also dead, so we can't really fix anything that hasn't charged enough to turn on. So we're gonna let that one charge while we replicate the issue. I have like 8 chargers over here that I've set up to let individual stuff charge. This next one is no indication of problem, so first we're gonna try to power it on. It does power on. Like I said, some amount of these may be as little issue as just having needed to be tested, or was tested with hardware that might have been faulty otherwise. Stuck on Nintendo Switch screen already tells me something. It shouldn't take this long, so we are probably going to be looking at some motherboard repair. Yeah, I don't need to stick around much longer. It's not going to boot at this point. So we already got our first repair here. This is going to be typically stuck on Switch. Nintendo Switch logo is failed M92 T36 IC. I think that's like a power management IC of some sort. So this will be our first system of the live stream, first system of the marathon. Again, let me know what you guys want to see in the next video across all the systems I mentioned earlier. I pretty much have options for every Nintendo handheld that exists. So if you want to see some repairs done on a specific Nintendo handheld, think about the only Nintendo handheld that I don't have are first things that weren't released in America. Like I don't have any Game Boy Lights, don't have any Game Boy Micros, and I don't have any new 3DS non-XLs. That's what I can think of offhand that we don't have any to fix. So outside of that, if you want to see any other console, we've got options. I had a lot more Nintendo Switch base model, Nintendo Switch, the V1 and V2 tablets, and I've worked through quite a bit of them already. So the number would be higher if I didn't start this series today, or if I held off on the other ones that I fixed. But either way, we got more than enough. More than 330 systems. I think the initial count was like 335, but then there was like 1 or 2 pulled off that just needed to be tested and were otherwise fine. Again, that could definitely be the case for some of these. Hopefully a lot of them, because that would make for easy money. And that's what we're here for. We're here to turn these things, these otherwise non-working systems, into money with some good effort. And pull up Facebook to see. All right. I don't have any, well, I have, I think 3 customer repairs in the queue. They're all fresh in the queue, so I can wait for a day. Offhand, just starting out, I can see a little bit of liquid damage on this connector. Otherwise, system looks pretty clean on the inside. We'll hope that that is the case across the board. One thing I should do, since I have these little trays, instead of, I don't think that's gonna work. Yeah, instead of just throwing these out here, drop it on one of these little magnetic trays and let that keep everything in one spot for me. I've fixed so many of these switches now that I know where everything goes without even looking at it, for better or for worse. I would say the Nintendo Switch is probably one of my areas of expertise. It is a common repair that we see come through the store, which, with that being said, we do offer repairs for the broad spectrum of video game consoles that exist, along with most other consumer electronics in general. Just about anything that can reasonably fixed, we do fix to some extent. A couple things we don't do are like TVs and monitors, stuff with large screens where the screen itself tends to be the problem and they tend to not be cost effective to fix. So, but yeah, everything else, you know, laptops, tablets, phones, game consoles, computers. We also don't do, okay, well, I see this isn't going to work, so I'll just have to move that away from there. I try to lift up this adhesive without tearing it so that we can reapply it. And there is our heatsink pulled. Cartridge slot board. Get my favorite pair of tweezers right here. Flipping up all these connectors and pulling them all out. Once all these connectors are pulled, we can unscrew the motherboard from the frame and pull the motherboard out. All right, we have everything disconnected from the motherboard. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew the remaining screws holding the motherboard to the frame. I got a new C-mount adapter for my microscope camera. Hopefully it makes stuff look a little better than it. Or really I just wanted to get rid of the outer frame. You might see it when we go into the outer ring of the microscope was visible in my old one. It's still visible in this one, but I'd have to look at the two of them to compare to see which one was better. But hopefully this one's better because that's the one that I have installed right now. All right, we have all the screws and all the connectors pulled off of the Switch motherboard. We are going to pop this out of the frame, set the frame to the side, and then we will get into, we'll do some visual inspection. Let's do that under the microscope. Now, yeah, I don't like that that mouse being there. Let me fix that. If I can fix it. Ow. All right, I'm gonna pop this in real quick and move that mouse out of the way. All right, good enough. Now, as long as I keep this on indefinitely, it should never pop up again. Even though I should just get another mouse. All right. So we got our switch pulled out of the motherboard. We need to look at this chip first because this is the chip that I'm assuming is going to be the problem. Get some, there we go. All right. Looks good on my side, looks good on this side. Let's do some testing. In diode mode, on my multimeter, we're gonna red probe on ground. Well, no obvious shorts to ground. Check over here. Nope. Nope. Just running through all the typical things you'd want to look at. This little filter tends to blow, but everything is looking good here. So no short on any of the commonly shorted capacitors when M92 fails, but we're still gonna, yeah, that doesn't look good. Trying to get my lighting looking good. Yeah, that's fine. And here's our PI3. goes. Put this together in a way that makes this easy to look at for both of us. All right. Gotta. It's never easy when I try to do it. So I feel like I'm having more issues with this Alright, so we got this center line, it's straight over here. It's straight over there. Let's screw it down. Yep. Now that I think about it, I feel like my 3.5x was doing a better job. Oh well, we're here now. We can see stuff. All right, so we weren't able to measure any shorts on M92. I still suspect that that's probably the well, we got some signs of corrosion around the BQ IC. Yeah, I feel like the whole time I'm like maxed out on this. Well, it's nice when I zoom in a lot. I don't like to be this zoomed in, but maybe that'll be more fun for you guys. Alright, well, we have some liquid damage around the BQ IC. No measurable shorts, so it might be superficial. We'll go ahead and look inside the port as well. Port looks good. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a just replacing on a whim and seeing if it solves the problem. Before we do that though, I am going to clean up this liquid damage. Just use some isopropyl and a brush. Looks like the liquid exposure was pretty well contained just to this area. Liquid damage indicator didn't turn. Bottom side also has a little bit going on. Again, looks pretty contained to one section. All right. So we've got the BQ area cleaned up. Let's replace M92 and see what happens. I keep M92 close at all times because I replaced this IC quite a bit. We'll orient it correctly. Get this lighting looking good. Probably mess with the color settings on the microscope, but I don't want to do that. All right, and get my hot air set up. That machine noise in the background is our Roka machines cranking out some hard sorts for us. Hopefully it's not overwhelming. I'll see when I look at this after the stream's over. Alright. I like to get the new one in place, roughly. I'm going to come back and hit it with some flux. And this should help all the connections get established. There we go. Saw it snap into place. That means it is properly connected. All right, so we just need to wait for this to cool down a little bit. We'll clean it up, and then we can drop this back into the frame to test it. Okay, let's move back over here. We have our new M92 dropped in. I'm going to drop this in place. We're just going to put this together enough to power it on and see it get past the Nintendo Switch logo. So we don't need to have everything plugged in. We just need LCD. Backlight. And power. So if this works, we can reassemble it further. Oh wait, it's not plugged in, so, or the power button connector is not plugged in, so it will have a hard time Okay. It plugged in enough to prompt a boot. Let's see what happens. And look at that. No more stuck at switch logo. So the next things that we need to do from this point, I like to, especially since it's already powered on, this tells me, of course we're not going to get touched when the connector is not plugged in. I want to test dock output because that's going to be the biggest thing that would need to be looked at and fixed. So in order to do that, I'm just going to drop it in my dock over here. I think I need to kind of screw it down, tack it down in one spot so I can make sure there's a good connection. All right, we'll get both sides of the USB-C screws. All right. Now I'm going to plug this back in to the dock, and you'll just have to trust me when I say whether or not dock output works. Looks like we're not getting dock output. It is charging, but it's not outputting. So we have some stuff to look at between USB-C and the dock. So we fixed one problem, but we haven't fixed all the problems. And usually, you know, these kind of problems tend to happen together. What did where did that screw just go? Oh well. All right, we got this disconnected. There's that screw. And back into looking at some other aspects of this motherboard. Good thing about charging but no dock output is it pretty well narrows down the scope of possibilities. And while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the old thermal paste so I don't get it all over the place. All right. I guess my 3.5X is probably going to be the mount that I'll have to use because I'm not able to get these to line up correctly. I can, at the very least, I can set it up for you guys to be able to see. And it looks like it's showing out here properly. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to test these filters. When dock output doesn't work, it's typically because these filters have gone bad. Either that or PI3 has gone bad, or USB-C is bad. It's going to very likely be one of those three things. Right now I'm just testing for continuity across both sides. I forgot that I can zoom in on this stuff a whole bunch, and even though it's closer than I like to work, all right, there. Now I can see and you can see. It's closer than I like to be, but so our filters have all tested. Next thing, yeah, we're getting a proper reading from our big cap over here. So I'm leaning into PI3 not being the problem here. And if that's the case, it more than likely means that we're dealing with a bad USB-C. Let's see if we can see anything. Yeah, don't really see anything, but I can always tell from the outside. This is actually a bit of content, a bit of short form content that I wanted to make, was replacing a USB-C on a Switch. I see reels for this kind of stuff on Facebook, and it's like, hey, I can do that stuff. Maybe I'll make some reels. All right, gotta get my yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go back to 3.5x. All right, there is our USB-C. We are going to take off USB-C and replace it with USB-C. For old USB-C, I'm just letting it hang out off the board or off my table, and then putting heat to the underside. Eventually this is going to heat up enough to where the solder liquefies, and we'll be able to pull it off. You'll be able to watch that happen. All right, old one has been pulled. We're going to do two things here. We're going to tin these pads with leaded solder. All right, we've had leaded solder float into the anchors and the pads. The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to do this separate from the switch, and we're going to tin the pads on our new USB-C port. This makes it to where, because half of the pins on this port you're not going to be able to see make the connection, so you kind of just have to trust that the connection's being made. And we're able to see, holding it down with my finger. All right. Got fresh solder flowed to all the legs. And we got fresh solder on the anchors and the pads. We're gonna get back to being able to see this. All right, another one of those. Y'all can see it, but I can't, but I don't really need to be able to see it. Running nozzleless, we're gonna heat up. Actually, I'm gonna stick this out a little bit more. Oh no, my tweezers. All right, now we can stick it out a lot more. There we go. All right, so heating up from the underside. We're gonna wait to see this solder liquefy. Maybe I'll all right. It's one of those things where you don't want to leave the heat focused in one spot. Oh no, my tweezers, they're broken. All right. Nope, definitely not connected. Once the new port is on, you really don't want to leave the heat focused in one area because you're going to burn the plastic on the connector, and we don't want to do that. Putting some pressure down on it. Nope, still not. It's sticking on one side, but not the other. All right, we should be good now. Yep, that should be it. We're gonna relocate our microscope, get to where we can work off of our little clamp holder. And the way that I like to see that this has been done right, because you can only really test half of your connections, is zoom in extra And look at my broken tweezers. Oh, these are my favorite tweezers too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, new port put on. Favorite tweezers broken. Let's test again. We want dock output and we want charging. Well, dock output, yeah. We already got charging. We want dock output. We want to keep charging. I'm gonna get all these connectors set on top of the motherboard. All right. Now again, backlight, LCD, and battery connector. LCD. Backlight. Battery connector. We're going to tack down screws on the USB-C connector so that it stays in place when we go to dock it. All right, now we're gonna plug it in to prompt a boot. This will tell us that we or at least did the power portion of the connector correctly, and it's powering on. All right, now testing dock output part 2. Let's see what it do. Hey, I rhymed, man, I'm such a rhymer. All right, already we're better than before. You can't see it, but we got dock output. So this system, power and dock output restored by replacing M92 and USB-C. The next step is going to be testing the remaining aspects of functionality with this device, and then we will condition grade it and reset it, make it eligible for sale. Go ahead and pop off. All right. One thing that you can also test while the system is mostly taken apart is the Joy-Con rails. So we're going to get that out of the way too, because if we put it together and see that the rails aren't connecting, then we'd have to take this back apart, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so we have the Joy-Con rails connected. I'm going to go ahead and connect power volume. All right. So with rails connected, power volume connected, we can, also need to have the battery connected. We're going to power the system on one more time. Again, we're not going to get touch no matter how many times I try. I've noticed both Joy-Cons have paired, and it looks like they're staying connected. So that's another aspect of this system that has been verified working. Looks like this system is also, I keep trying to touch and touch doesn't work, but we're already connected to Wi-Fi, so that's good. That's another aspect that we can verify working. There we go. So now we can get back into reassembling this, and the only other functionality that we need to test is going to be cartridge slot and touchscreen, and sound, but once we have the speakers plugged in, that'll be a pretty straightforward endeavor. Pop out the battery connector. Let's actually reassemble this most of the way before we plug the battery connector back in. Well, if anything, this is a good start to this series. This system needed a little bit of extra work, but we were able to. Now I regret using this because I can't pick up the screws the way that I like to. All right, yep, no more metal plates. I use my screwdriver to test the black screws for magnetism, because I know the magnetic ones are the ones that hold the motherboard down, and the non-magnetic ones are the ones that screw into the outer shell. All right. We got the motherboard secured. We can go ahead and make all the motherboard connections. I think I'm just going to have to move to some different tweezers. I like to keep that speaker cable from getting wedged in between the metal shield when we go to put that on. Yeah. All right. Goodbye, old tweezers. You did a good job for a long time. All right. Get our antenna connected. All right, now all the connections except SD card and cartridge slot have been connected. Now, one thing that I usually would do with these systems is I would test to see if they are patched units or unpatched units, because the patched ones, or the unpatched version ones, sell for a premium on eBay. So when possible, I try to find those and separate them out so we can get a little bit more money out of them. A lot of the switches that we have from a while back were all unpatched, so it's nice getting a non-working switch back into working condition, and then find out it's also an unpatched switch that is now in working condition. makes making something good that much better. Now, what people do with those unpatched switches, I have nothing to do with. But I can at least acknowledge that they are indeed unpatched, and that they can indeed boot Hecate to verify that. But that's as far as I go. All right. One more screw. And now we have the system reassembled. Well, we have it reassembled this far. Get our metal shield screws in. I'm looking forward to seeing where we can chop this stuff up, because I really want to do some short form stuff. I think I like the idea of like segmenting these things into really small clips, and which is I'm not very smart in that capacity, because I should have been recording at the same time that I was streaming. But I can get it off of YouTube. It's always nice when you got to reassemble something and the amount of screws are just there, the right amount. I want to go down to 00. You're supposed to use regular 0 for these, but I just feel like it's so much easier to slot 00. All right. One final machine screw. And there we go. Last but not least, outer shell screws. We're going to test the cartridge slot, SD card reader, which in hindsight probably shouldn't have reassembled this all the way to test that stuff in case anything's bad, but those tend to not be points of failure. It would be very unfortunate if this thing had that many issues. We're just gonna hope that that's not the case. But otherwise, we just have our 4 tri-wing screws, and this system will be completely reassembled. So now that we have it reassembled, we're going to do 2 things. Well, let's find a nice kickstand to drop on it. And then, oh no, this kickstand's not good. Well, find a nice kickstand to put on it. touchscreen is working. Let's pop in some Minecraft. Minecraft is popping up. Pop in an SD card. This tells me that it's working enough. All right, so for me, this is as tested as it needs to be. We're already connected to the internet, so we're going to perform a system update, and then we're going to reset the system. And then after that, this one will be finished. So I think there's something, yeah, there's some missing plastic on that back cover. I might replace that, but that's later. Let's XKW, another V2. How disappointing. All right, this one was on the charger for a while. It's reset. No game, no SD card. It says rails do not read. Well, let's test that. I got a vibration out of right Joy-Con, but not left Joy-Con. That's enough to tell me that the Joy-Con rail doesn't work. So, what are we going to do? We're going to replace the Joy-Con rail. And this looks like it has some damage, or some what looks like liquid damage. Hopefully it is just contained to the rail slot, which tends to be a problem that we see a lot with switches. The switch rails do a good job of holding water. So we have a left rail not connecting. I have plenty of left rails to replace this connector with, or this rail with. All right, so we got all the screws removed. I am seeing some more corrosion. Hopefully we don't have any on the motherboard. It is a lot less exciting to YouTube is not what? Okay, well, you know what? Let's see if cutting out Facebook. If anyone's watching on Facebook and they want to continue watching, just go to our YouTube page, and you can watch there. So I'm gonna stop Facebook streaming, see if that helps with the problem. Holding steady frame rate, looks like. Stream status is poor. Well, stop being poor. My frame rate. Okay, drop frame percentage is going down. All right, message went away. All right, so I guess I'm not gonna be lucky enough to get to stream on YouTube as well. Maybe I'll just, in the future, I'll just link the YouTube stream to Facebook separately. All right, all the screws removed. All right, fortunately, it doesn't look like there's any substantial liquid damage. So if anybody's watching and they want to make a suggestion for the next console that we work on, today is Switches, but whatever we do next week will be based on what the most people say they want to see across all Nintendo handhelds. Based on what I have available, of course. So if you want to see some specific repair work on a Nintendo handheld, pick it and we'll go from there. All right, we got our rail. Probably can't see it, but there is definitely liquid damage on the rail connector. So we throw away, we replace. See, lots of rails. I like buying replacement parts, probably.
Is there anyone in the back who can bring up some bags to game side, please, if we have them? Bring them up.
They're in the office. Whoops. Chase is getting them. Whoops, I screwed the wrong screw in here. All right. Gonna tack this down. All right. System was never powered off. We really don't need to power it off to do a rail. If you don't trust yourself, you could power it off, but I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna get the loop correct. Gotta get the loop correct. All right. Oh no, that was the wrong rail. Oh, darn it. Well, okay. That one's working, this one's still probably not working. Yep, easy enough. This one's just gonna get 2 new rails. How lucky. Whoops, almost lost it. I'm expecting other systems to not take as long to fix as these. Things like Game Boys and stuff like that. Less intricacy. Oh yeah, definitely some liquid damage on that rail too. All right. Rail right. All right. So both rails getting replaced. Well, that other rail did have some liquid damage anyway, so even though it connected, it's probably best that we replaced it anyways. Alright, got the rail attached. I'm going to try to slide this in. Trying to make sure my big head doesn't get in the camera. I'm sure it probably already has. Alright, there we go. Got it fed through correctly. I don't know why I'm trying to do this right-handed. All right. There we go. Part 2. Left connect, or right connect, left connect. All right, well, this was probably reset because all the other aspects did work with the exception of the Joy-Cons connecting. But we'll, for the sake of posterity, you guys can't see this. We'll go through all the normal testing stuff. Sure, we're in Vancouver and Los Angeles. Create new user. It will be this yellow Pikmin. He will be named 1. Alright. So we, oh, interesting. Touch is good. Cartridge slot reads. We're gonna reassemble. And test SD card slot. I hate these connectors you have to push down and you can't see. There we go. Get it eventually. And then I want to hear the error message. That's good enough to me. It's detecting the SD card enough to say it needs to update. We're connected to the internet. Oh, wait, we are connected to the internet. We don't need to do this. We're going to do a system update. Charge it. Oh gosh, 1%. I'll let that run. And what else are we going to do? We're going to fix another switch. We got this one right here. Screen scratch right rail. Screen scratch right rail. Yep, that is a screen scratch. Oh no, it's not. There is a scratch on the screen, but it's not very pronounced. I'd probably give this a grade B. But right rail is something we can fix. This other one, I'm going to go ahead and reset. You know, before I reset it, I should at least test dock output. One other thing it'd probably be good to have working. All right, dock output's good. So we're 2 for 2. That's good. Gonna let that, we're gonna initiate the reset on this. Going through, initiating the format, initialize, next, initialize. All right, so while that is going through the initializing process, we're going to go ahead and finish reassembling this one. Did I initialize this one? No, I didn't. No, it's over here downloading a bunch of update data and stuff. I'm so sorry. All right, now we got 2 systems resetting. We're going to give them a condition grade and send them on their way. Otherwise, we're on a good trajectory so far. We can keep this momentum going. Probably get 2 more repairs done today. It's a good thing about these, you know, some repairs as simple as rail swaps make for easy money. All right, all of our screws have been replaced. And if they sold it to us for parts because the rails aren't reading, that means that we're in it good. And that's what I like to hear. Try to heat this up in a way that doesn't get all of it and get it focused in one area, and then it causes bubbling. How do I know about that? I've done it before, probably more than once. All right. Could probably just wait and do this when it doesn't need to charge anymore, but I'm impatient. All right. Now we just have the tri-wing screws and we're done here. This is repair number 2 of 330 something. I know there's probably going to be some days that we get a lot more than 3 done, and I know there's probably going to be some days where we may not get any done. Those days happen. All right, still initializing. And we're going to move this to my other we do have charging. But it needs to charge enough to turn on, so there's another one. Let's see. Parental controls, left rail. Ooh, that's going to be an easy one. USB-C and shell. That's definitely USB-C. Yeah, it's definitely a shell. Let's break up some monotony and go with something else. Poor audio, weak speaker. 2002-4373. Okay. That's exciting. Well, we'll see if any of these other ones turn on. And the ones that don't, I'm going to go ahead and start charging. I got like 10 chargers over here. All right, that one's on the charger. Rail parts. Oh, that's definitely a rail parts. We're probably gonna part that one out. USB-C shell, we can't charge that one. Parental controls and cartridge slot cover damage. Does it power on? No. Another, throw it on the charger and wait. So we got these two. We're gonna designate as bad. Right rail. Let's try to power it on. Does not power on. Another for the charger. At least these, when we do go to work on them again, will be staged for, or they'll have a full charge and be ready to go. No power. That's liquid damage, and I'm going to try to put it on the charger. No power, USB-C. No sound. That's easy. But it also doesn't power on, so we're gonna let it charge. And it does charge. No power. Looks like liquid damage. Will not charge. Let's see, this is an XKW version 2. Do not charge on XKW could also mean that it just froze on a black screen. Doesn't seem to be the case here, so we can verify that it is actually no power. Tested, needs parental controls removed. Oh gosh. Now that is some easy money. But also needs to be charged. So there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 systems on a charger. 2, 4, 6 systems that needs AC port damage, no dock display. I trust that. No power liquid damage, I trust it. Left rail, screen scratches. Okay, so this is gonna be just a low grade system. At least it charges. Parts, no power. I'm gonna trust it. And then parental controls and left rail. Man, that's a common problem. Looks like we have all of these plugged up. I'm gonna put this one on the dock. And now we have all of our no power switches charging for further testing. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that have some other power related issue. All right, this one has charged enough. Oh wait, this one is just reset and ready to go. All right. Yep, this one has been reset and is ready to go, along with this one. So these just need to be cleaned and condition graded. All right, keep those over there. We got this one on the charger. We can at least see if any of these have charged enough to, ow. Okay, every single one of these is on the charger. You know what? Let's try this OLED switch. This actually just got dumped in the repair in the queue, giving us an error message. And it's also not charging, so that's nice. Okay. Well, a lot of these need charging. Let's move to something that doesn't need charging and see if we can at least deviate enough to keep my hands busy while we wait for these to charge. This is a Game Boy Advance. There's no indication of what the issue is, if there is an issue, so we're gonna find out. I'm gonna grab the back cover. Now with these, we have a couple different ways we can go about doing stuff with them, because we have replacement glass screens or IPS screens with rechargeable batteries, new shells, new buttons, all that stuff. So if we wanted to get crazy, we could, but for the ones that don't really seem like they need a lot of work, I like to just keep them together. That way if somebody wants a regular Game Boy Advance without all the bells and whistles, they have it as an option. All right. So this one, immediately, no audio. Let's fix that. I think we can fix that relatively easily. Oh, these are all Phillips. We're gonna move to a bigger Phillips. Oh, I've been pretty good, Drew. How are you? Drew P. Should I call you Droopy? Or just Drew? Or Drew P? I think I've asked you this before. It's been a while since I've done any streaming or anything, so my frame of reference is not entirely there. So on this one we are trying to figure out no sound. These tend to be pretty resilient in that they tend to work. It more than likely is just going to be the speaker itself, which if that's the case, we can pull from another and use for the time being, because everything looks good here. Yeah, no indication of why it would be, and there's nothing really fixable that just replacing wouldn't, okay, Drew. When I see Drew P, I will just do Drew. All right. I'm gonna go pull a parts motherboard and pull the speaker off of that to see if we can fix this issue. Well, this one's missing its speaker. This speaker looks good. All right, we got a spare motherboard. This one looks like it suffered an amount of damage that occurred before us. I'm gonna actually go ahead and turn on our solder sucker. Even though I might not need it. Yeah, I don't need it. Okay, sorry, solder sucker. You are not necessary today. Okay. New speaker. Well, new old speaker. see if we've done any good work. I actually have a metric buttload of replacement parts coming from AliExpress. Replacement battery connectors like these guys, replacement triggers, on-off switches, volume sliders, all of that. My goal is to effectively have all necessary replacement parts to fix just about everything in these systems, especially for the older stuff, because they've definitely hit the level of popularity. Well, they've been there, but it's about time we do something with them. It's about time. I've been focusing mostly on new stuff, and you know, it's easy to make money with the new stuff, but at a certain point, you know, people want to be able to come into the store or go to our website and see a healthy stock of stuff like this because they want to buy this stuff too. So gotta play both. So, and we're about to go to a convention next week. I want to have some handhelds to take to this convention. And that's the goal. We're gonna have we've been building up stock for these. We're gonna continue to do it. Hopefully through the end of the year, we'll be in a situation where we have an explicit need for more than these, because I'd like to start being more aggressive in sourcing and getting these out for sale, because you know, this is really bread and butter right here. You got the new stuff and people like the new stuff, and people buy the new stuff, and people get the new stuff fixed. Like our queue stays pretty consistently busy with modern consoles, but you got to pay some attention to this stuff too. All right, you know what? Actually, no, we'll go ahead and get these screwed in. I think this is going to work. I'm willing to gamble some time on it. Worst case scenario, got a couple screws to undo. All right. Testing part 2. Oh no. Still no audio. Well, that's what I get for... Well, that at least tells me that this speaker's probably also good, which I guess can be used for something else, but yeah. Game Boy Advance, no audio output. Well, I mean, it could also be that both of these speakers are bad. That's definitely an option as well. But one thing that I can do, at least to have gotten some value out of this, is we're going to re-disassemble it. My plan, Drew, is to stream, well, after we get back from PopCon at least. I plan on streaming at least twice a week, and it's gonna be all the Consoles behind me, I have like 330 some odd consoles, that Nintendo handheld consoles that all need to be looked at in some capacity. I'm going to try to have all of that stuff fixed by the end of the year. Well, not fixed. Maybe I spoke too quickly. Have all of it, have the fixable stuff fixed and the stuff that's not fixable parted out for the sake of, at least in the worst case scenario, having parts accessible for other repairs in the future. I'm going to drop all this stuff in here. Actually, probably the best thing to do would be to keep it all together. These don't have as much room as I'd like in them. Drop that in. Drop this on top. Hope that it closes, and it do. All right. We're gonna print a sticker for this. No sound. And now we'll be able to come back to this. Oops, got some. Got some screws to drop in here. One.
So you don't play on the Xbox, do you?
No, not really.
Conflicted. I have to download games on my internal hard drive when they're like Series S and Series X.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I only have like 500 internal.
You gotta get that expanded storage thing that you plug into the back.
How much those are? Do they have that for the Series X?
Yes, the storage expansion slot. That way you can download Series S and Series X games.
For the other, the white one?
Yes. Yeah, that's what you want. We don't have any, because I'm looking for one too.
How much space?
I think they're like $100 for a terabyte. Yeah.
So how come my external though?
Because the storage isn't fast enough for series games. Or that's what they tell you anyways. But yeah, it's gated for one reason or another. Whether it's actually a good reason, you know, I can't tell you that, but yeah. Yeah. No, best thing to do is going to be to get that storage expansion. Yeah, they pop up at pawn shops. So. What? Well, start frequenting them. Or just buy one on Amazon. They're not there. I never see them cheap. That's the short end of it. I never see them cheap. So if you're looking for one cheap, you're probably not going to find it. Yeah. Yeah.
It looks almost like action replay type.
Yep. Mhm. All right. So this one is a. Oh, this one's a reset, isn't it? Oh gosh, I don't know what's going on here. Screen scratch, right rail. All right, we got two here. Left rail, screen scratches. screen scratch, right rail. We had our Game Boy sidelined for the time being. Left rail screen scratches. Right rail screen scratch. Let's test dock output on this one. At least make sure everything else is not a problem. Okay, we got dock output. So, with dock output and touch working and game reading and SD card reading. We need some good old internet. Test everything else working on this before I go fixing the rail. It says left rail. No connection with left rail. Right rail. Connection with right rail. So it is indeed a left rail issue. We're gonna, okay. 2002, 4373. All right, we replicated this issue. I'm gonna let this one charge here and this one charge here while we update the system and replace the left rail. Rail is a very basic connector, so unless you very badly make a mistake in replacing it, it tends to not be a problem to swap the stuff out while you're gonna have to replace the back cover on this. This is a version 2. I never like seeing version 2s because I know I'm not gonna be able to net an unpatched switch out of it. So the screen scratches, this is inevitably just going to get sold on eBay as a grade C version 2 switch. So if somebody, like, you know, they don't really care about screen scratches, or they want a switch they can throw on a dock and forget about, you know, this will be it. This back cover's also bad. This time we're replacing that rail. The right rail, not the wrong one, the left one. The left rail that is the right rail and not the wrong one. I could, what I probably will do, I want to get a good number of these under the belt today. So I'm going to get, I think I'm going to shoot for 5. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shoot for 5. 5 switches fixed and made sellable. got some adhesive that holds this in place. This connector doesn't really matter anymore because we're just going to throw it away, so we can be a little rough with it. I guess it's good to prioritize these. Oh, the Roka's finished. This will give me a chance to see how much better the sound is without the Roka running. Well, Roka is running. Alright. And there is liquid damage. Get us a new rail. Drop a new rail in place. Screw it down. I've worked on too many switches. I'm not upset about it, but it's hundreds is definitely the correct. I can use that term confidently. I have worked on hundreds of switches. I wouldn't say that it gets old. It's just they're also not worth the same amount that they used to be, especially with the Switch 2 on the horizon. Really excited about that. I am a certified Nintendo fanboy. Not in the sense that I only play Nintendo, but I mostly only play Nintendo. What's the average repair time per device? It depends on the device. There are some repairs that, like PS5s for example, I would say my average repair time on a PS5 is going to be about 45 minutes. That is just with HDMI being overwhelmingly the typical repair that gets done for those, and HDMI is typically taking me about 45 minutes to do. So also one of our highest one of the highest margin repairs that we do, so definitely works out. Sometimes we get lucky with some no power issues that don't require a lot of work. All right. Left rail works now. Okay. We'll update. So we have rail connectivity like we're supposed to. We've already tested everything else. It's in the process of resetting. Oh, no, for a Nintendo Switch, average repair time. Well, see, I end up in rabbit holes with these a little more often than like the PlayStation. So I'm gonna lean this more into an hour. Especially because more often than not, devices tend to have these devices are more likely to have multiple problems. So where I'll have to, like the first Switch that we did, I had to replace M92 and I had to replace USB-C. So and I you know, come to expect that with these, but yeah, it's funnier. I spend more time on these devices than I do a PlayStation, and I charge less for these devices. but that's just because we don't charge by time, we charge by the device's value. And then time gets mixed in there a little bit somewhere. Because like some repairs, I guess it's more like a, does it require soldering or not? Does it require an expensive part or not? Like PS5's disk drives, power supplies are, you know, much more expensive parts than like an SD card slot for a Switch or something like that. So there's a lot of, we need a new back cover for this, and this is a back cover will tell me what model it is. It's a version 2. So yeah, that's the short end of it. Tends to cost. I like for my repairs to, in every situation, be about. I can make this an Animal Crossing Switch. It's ugly, so we're not going to do it. I have 2 Animal Crossing back covers. Well, hopefully I have some more back covers in the back. Well, I can tell you the barrier to learning to do this stuff effectively is largely, the barrier to doing this stuff is, first, it does take a lot of time. Trial and error. You have to become very comfortable with breaking stuff. I've broken a lot of stuff in the process of learning how to fix stuff. And then, you know, depending on how far you want to go in with investing in equipment. Equipment can get expensive if you want to have everything, and then sometimes you go too far and get stuff that you don't even need. Like I have some things on this desk that I don't use at all, and I paid good money for because I thought I would use it, and then I end up not using it whatsoever. And then there's stuff that I use every once in a while. And then, you know, like the basic kit, your soldering irons, your hot air rework station, bench power supply, your consumables, like, you know, you can, the microscope, if you wanted to get into, which I would say a microscope is kind of important at this point, unless you want to work on just like old stuff. You could easily spend $1,000, if not more. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you really want to get into it, you gotta really, like I got into it because there was a need. We had a really big need. We were piling up broken consoles, and I started out with the 3DS actually. The 3DS was the first system that I really, you could say I got intimate with, where I was able to confidently disassemble and reassemble them, and, you know, fix even the dreaded top screen, stuff like that. Like that's where, and I can honestly say that learning how to work on a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo 3DS before other stuff was more of a baptism by fire, because they're kind of notoriously the most pain in the ass systems to work on. So that kind of gave me a jump, but then it's still, you know, we had a lot of broken stuff for me to learn on. So I replaced our own HDMI ports. I pulled traces, trying to fix these systems. I, you know, caused problems that may not have existed otherwise if I, you know, had known what I was doing. So, stayed away from working on customer devices until I knew how to work on the device otherwise, but yep, it's a very big I wouldn't say it's a very big barrier to entry, but there is a realistic barrier to entry, and you just got to be comfortable with working past that. And like working past failure, there's been, even like the Switch especially, there's been so many times where I have been ready to tear my hair out at over, one of these systems not working after spending so much time fixing so many different things. So it did I already replace this one? I don't think I did. All right, it says right rail. Well, screen scratch right rail. Well, I'm trying to make typical intermittent connect. There we go. Got that intermittent connection to happen. Just because it connects doesn't mean it's good. All right, this is a version 1, so there is a chance that this one will be an unpatched version 1. That would be nice. But we're going to do a right rail. These rails are making this stream easy for me. Because rails are very easy to replace. So it could be a lot worse. Like liquid damage, no power, which honestly, liquid damage on these systems, especially with it not being a customer device, I might just lean away from doing entirely. Unless the liquid damage is very mild, because quite frankly, those are the ones that end up being the rabbit holes. So if you avoid those, you avoid the high probability of lost time. We're gonna have to replace the back cover on this one. We're up to 3 now. 3 systems that have been tested and reset. We're going to crank out 2 more today. This will be number 4. If I keep getting lucky with these easy to fix switches, we'll have a good trajectory ahead of us. This one was right rail, so I'm going to replace, when it's flipped over, the left rail. Should probably work a little higher so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. All right, pop this off. Looks pretty good in here. Alright, got the old rail pulled. Looks good from the outside. Oh well. Well, nope, fan spinning, so it's probably not going to be. There's an issue with the version 1 switches that you'll lose fan spin and left Joy-Con, or Joy-Con connectivity. I don't remember which side it is. So that's something to keep in mind every once in a while when you get Joy-Con rails not connecting, especially when it's accompanied with no fan spin. But it can happen with fan spin too, if I remember correctly. All you have to do is flick a little diode and it goes back to working. Okay. Let's get this rail flex set up. All right, we got it installed. Let's look for some right rail action. Interesting. Oh, well, it's not connected all the way, so that'll do it. This might be one of those diode situations. I don't think I've ever had it happen with intermittent connectivity though. I think it was just always that it wouldn't connect. All right, we got that one. All right, well, just for the sake of verifying that it's not a rail issue, we will replace it again, and this time we won't even screw it in. We will just slot it and see if it works or not. If this happens, or if it works with this, then, you know, it could just be a failed rail installation. If it doesn't work, we're going to look at that diode. All right, no connection even with the new rail. So at this point, we are going to look at the diode. Now, this will be where we go ahead and disconnect power, reconnect this rail. One more time. We'll disconnect, reconnect battery. Thanks for the I gotta get dinner, but oh, thank you. I'm gonna need luck with the 330 handhelds. Hey, it's down to, you know, probably actually 330 now. Okay. Yep. No rail connectivity. Let's flick the diode. I don't like taking off the heatsink if I don't have to, but here we are. I have to get in the microscope. This little guy right here is our target. This dude right here. Could have been a little more, or a little less brutish, but let's try it again without that diode and see what happens. Oh no! Well, the diode's not necessary anyways, so at least we don't have to think about whether or not we should have done it, but we have other stuff to look at now. Let's, first, we're gonna see if this capacitor is shorted to ground. Look at our flex. Flex looks good. What's going on here? It would be a little easier to connect this if Alright, we flicked the diode. If I remember correctly, the only other thing that I can think of that would cause this would be a failed fan, but I think I saw the fan spinning earlier. Fan's not getting hot. Joy-Con's still not connected. Yeah, fan is spinning. Weird. Let's do some research. Yeah, we flicked the fan diode. There's an IC on the back. We already did the diode. The IC is on the back. It is the only other option we can look at immediately, but that is a much larger undertaking than... Yeah, you know, that actually is not surprising now, because the connector that we took off didn't have signs of water damage. So maybe this is the case the whole time. Pop on new, or second one. Yep, still no connection. So, and now this becomes board level. Rail's probably good. The original rail was probably good. Well, my 5-switch repair streak that I was planning on going on probably just got cut down one. But that's fine. I've actually, if this is the IC that's on the other side, I've never seen this happen before. This would be the first time that I would have, that this would be the issue. So at least there's an opportunity to learn something here. But sure does make for a bunch of extra work. And I don't like doing extra work. So we're looking for the IC over here. See if we can measure any shorts. It's always nice to measure shorts. Red probe on ground. 546, 547, 512, 'Well, see if we can measure this to a different board and replicate the issue. Okay, well, I think it's actually this guy. $520, $360, $520, $530, $530. Yep, that is low. Yep, these are all, those values are all low. Alright. I want to keep this, so we'll say right here, so I can't miss it. Alright. We're going to take from one and put it on the other. Our diode mode readings on the left one were on average lower than the right one, so if I remember correctly, yep, this is the bad one. I'm going to have to rotate it, but that's hardly an issue. Come on, 380, do work. I'll rotate that. I don't know. Good thing there's orientation markers. That should be good. Get our parts board out of the way. We'll be a little nice and touch these joints up. Get some leaded solder in here. Probably don't even need to, but oh well. Actually, yeah, we don't even need more solder. Just some flux and reflowing the solder that's always there, or already there, is enough. And that's ground in the middle. Alright. That little component has been replaced. I'm not sure what it does, but yeah. The readings on the pins in diode mode were not the same across a different one. They were all lower on average, so hopefully that means fixable issue. What we can do now is see if that's still happening. So diode mode. Oh no, they're still lower. Well, for something like this, I don't want to go too far, and this could be something that I see going too far. So if this doesn't work, we're gonna call this a parts board and just move on with life. And that would actually line up perfectly with me ending my day and the stream accordingly. All right. Of course I would do that and then forget to pull. Oh wait, no, the black antenna is already good. That's the hard one anyways. We're gonna do just enough to test right rail. I say that and then I plug in something that doesn't need to be plugged in. All right, backlight, LCD, get our Joy-Con flex routed correctly. Come on now. All right. Bare minimum. So bare minimum, we're gonna use USB to prompt. So bare minimum, I didn't even plug in the power or the battery. All right. Prompt to boot. Oh yeah. Nope. we are going to call it here. All right, this one is going to be unidentifiable rail. Not sure what the issue could be. I could probably look into it some more. Yeah. Yep, we're gonna call it there. So that's what we got for today. Out of all of this, 3 verified working systems, and at least the future systems have been staged to be tested because they'll already have been charged. So if I don't know if I'm gonna turn this into an actual video or not, but the next one I'll probably set up to do something like that more specifically. So if I don't get anything back from people wanting to see one kind of system or another, one kind of Nintendo handheld fixed over the other, I've got the full spread. I'll probably continue working on Switches just so I can get them all out of the way and then have that category for the time being at least taken care of. So maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. Once we get Tuesday, Wednesday is probably going to be getting ready for the convention. So yeah, maybe I'll continue doing this tomorrow and see what happens. But otherwise, if you guys are still here, I appreciate you watching, and I've got a lot more of these to go, unfortunately, until well, we'll say best case scenario, we got down to 330 systems from 335-ish. So, yep. Hopefully, future streams net a higher number of output, but we got something done today, so that's good. So I appreciate you guys watching with me. Again, if you guys want to see anything in the Nintendo handheld realm get worked on, I'm gonna be here until this whole wall has been cleared of different systems, and I've got a lot of work to do. So I'll see you guys in the next one.